some people think that I must be a dumb fuck because of this. So I want to point out that my childhood was less than the American optimal childhood. I actually had some days where I was very hungry. And so now when the opportunity of food presents itself, then I'm like tucking right in. I'm not missing any meals. I haven't missed meals in years. So, but then I have a lot of passion in this space of all the things that we do. And so some people are like, I'll say something about, children dying of hunger, and I'm so fucking mad about that. And somebody will shout out, language! And so here's where I'm at, because I kind of feel like I am so bonkers about permaculture that this is the path that I've chosen because I feel like I've got so much to do and I need to change things. And I'm so passionate. So when I hear about children dying of starvation, which is got to be I've never died of starvation before, but I understand it's really an awful thing, and I can kind of imagine it. I never got so close on that road that I was going to die, but there were some tough days. That when I hear about it, my reaction is, son of a bitch! Which I think is a battle cry. This is like, I'm going to go and do something about it. And that's kind of, son of a bitch! So I kind of feel like for one time, as long as we've got a bunch of people here, and there might be some people that are like, oh my God, this language is so unacceptable. I want to see if there's anybody else that feels like I do. So I'm going to say, children dying of cancer. Son of a bitch! Fucking A. Fucking A. So, who saw my keynote thing from last year? Now, I know it's kind of a different event, but a year ago I was here. So one guy, I was on YouTube. Did some people see it on YouTube, maybe? Yeah, now that's really the kind of thing I like to do. But I gotta say that that's also the kind of thing that I project out to people that have never heard of permaculture before. I kind of feel like the thing to do is to show them little tidbits of information, and then after a while, the tidbits start to glue together, and they're like, I want more of this. This has been really cool. And then they come into the world of permaculture. But then when I talk to other permaculture people, I feel like I've got some other messages to say. And in fact, a lot of people have been approaching me during the conference to talk about certain topics that are covered in this. But for now, setting that aside, because we're going to talk about permaculture velocity, which is so important to me because I just need to change the world. And I think that I've calculated with my giant evil brain how I want to go about doing that, and to optimally use the few hours I have left on this planet. So I want to talk about what I've done since then, because it's kind of like the thing that I did last year was like, here's 72 bricks, here's 72 amazing things, and the first thought was, do that again, but with all new stuff. And it's like, oh, that would be fun. I would really enjoy that. But instead, I'm going to take on a darker task today. But hey, since that keynote last year, here's some stuff that we got done. We got this 4 DVD set out, and I'm proud to say that we've got the associate producer, Leanne Robertson, here, and we've also got the supreme executive producer with bacon, cheese, and sparkles, Jacques Spirko. And he's here somewhere. So, and this is just a video, by the way, of a workshop. It's not the Lord of the Rings, all right? It's just a giant doofus in overalls with a camera, and not a videographer like these guys. Oh yeah, I made some cards. Who's seen the cards? Yeah. It's cool. I gave a deck to Willie Smits yesterday, and he's like, dude, I'm in the cards. And somebody was telling me Alan Savory was out there. Hey man, check this out. You got to buy these cards. There you are, man. Really? Really? So that sounds cool. Is Alan Savory here? Probably not. Is he in here? I know he's here, but not. He's probably thinking, who the hell is this guy in the morning? I could skip that. Oh, I did a TED Talk. They probably are going to regret that. Oh, and then we just finished up the Kickstarter for the World Domination Gardening. All 3 of the Kickstarters there were all extremely well funded. Thank you. And then last year, when I gave the keynote presentation, I'd reached 23 million people. And now we're at 38 million. So, and I kind of feel like I want to point out just one thing really quick. When I reach people, I think that they're already like at eco level 2 or 3 and they're finding my empire and I'm pulling them into the permaculture fold and it's like, but at the same time, taking a person from level 2 to level 2.5 does this much good for the world. Taking a person from level 0 to level 1 does this much good for the world. So I want to thank Jack Spirko for like really helping to bring a bunch of people to permaculture. I mean, he's doing amazing stuff. I've been told that my empire is larger than all. I'm giving away more free permaculture information than all other permaculture people combined. And even when I can look at Jack's stuff, I think that might be true. But Jack's reaching a more important audience. And so I think that I can't say enough good stuff, but I got a limited amount of time. Oh yeah, there's this thing. I got 225 acres. I've got some land to be able to prove that, I'll prove that I'm right. I got things to prove. So we're doing some projects. We kind of got settled in around July of last year, but we've already got a Wafati almost done. And my brother and his family are living in the Wafati now, and we'll complete it this upcoming summer, and we'll build another one. We've got 12 people living on the property right now. So tomorrow, I believe I'm presenting on intentional community, and this is a different style, but I'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow. But of course, one of the things to prove is, can you get 20 people living under one roof without stabbing each other? We have 4 rocket mass heaters now, and we've got one that is like this steampunk experimental thing that's just got all kinds of knobs and wires and crazy crap coming out of it to try and experiment with a variety of different techniques, and we're having all sorts of tough lessons from it. But it's also, like sometimes it works too good, and we talked about that a little bit yesterday. We have 4 solar electric vehicles. We have a solar electric sawmill, solar electric chainsaws. We have these solar carts. This one solar cart got an overhaul this year. It's getting, we're getting another one too. Steve Heckeroth, the electric tractor guy, the guy who invented some of the batteries that solve the electric car problems, which Chevron is currently sitting on. And he also invented some solar panels. He's going to be out this summer, and he's created a brand new solar electric tractor for us, and it should be arriving in the next couple of days. Oh yeah, what to present on this year? And so, should we do more bricks? Somebody brought up the thing about what I should present on is something where I have a unique perspective. And when I talk to permaculture people, I feel like in order to maximize permaculture velocity, in order to move forward the thing I'm so passionate about doing, I have to make you aware of things that we gloss over because it's not pretty. And it has to do with us. And I mean, granted, it's great to go out and tell people about hugelkultur. It's great to go and tell people about rocket mass heaters. It's great to talk about all these different little things which help to draw people in, that's good. But our velocity is being impeded in multiple ways. Much like nature, it's not like there's just one problem. There's a list, and I can't even cover all the list in this short presentation, but I'm going to try and cover some of it. Why is permaculture not currently a household word? And I mean, when I first heard of permaculture, I mean, I was doing something, I called it a full farm ecosystem, where systems feed systems feed systems. A guy comes along and he says, oh, that's permaculture. And I went and I got the books, and I'm starting to read them. I'm hearing like this sound. What is that sound? So is it going to fall out from under me? So I looked it up, and sure enough, there's a lot of the things that I was doing, which I thought I invented, but I hadn't. It turns out I thought I was brilliant. But there's all these other things too, which I was like, oh, give me some of that and some of that and some of that, and I'm really enjoying it. And then it's like, well, why is it not a household word? It's been around so long. And then I start to find out why, and I try to fix it, and I don't get anywhere. And so then at some point in time, I realize I'm going to have to take this on full time and do a bunch of my own stuff. But somebody made this lovely picture, but this is part of the tagline. I use my daily-ish email, and I've mentioned a few times in my podcast. And the thing is that I kind of feel like part of it is that I'm an angryaholic. Remember the part about son of a bitch? And so, but I don't think that that's really the path, although, sometimes anger is an okay thing. I mean, there is a lot of stuff out there to be angry with, but I do find that I'm making far more progress in getting the things done that I want to get done by showing the bricks, But here's my perspective. Here's my unique perspective. I have another website. Who here has heard of Java Ranch or Code Ranch? Yeah. Okay. Did it help you get through college? I have a software engineering background. I made a website. I have some, much like in the world of permaculture, a lot of my ideas are contrary to the permaculture norm. I don't like using cardboard in anything that I do horticulturally, but most permaculture people are totally okay with that. And that's a different schools of thought. But I had some different ideas in software engineering as well, and a lot of people really liked those ideas on software engineering, and so we ended up with this massive website. Now, right now, Permies.com, without Rich Soil or YouTube, reaches about 1 million people per month. Code Ranch reaches about 5 million people per month, and so it's a much larger site. Now, throughout all time when running Code Ranch, we would get a problem like every couple of months. Somebody said something that was possibly inappropriate, and we would sit around and talk about like, wow, what should we do about this? I mean, that didn't seem like a nice thing to say. Should we like delete it? Should we ask them to like not write that? Maybe we can ask them to edit that. Yeah, because that was kind of rude, And so we have so much time in between problems that it's kind of like these guys. They go through space and they're so bored they have a holodeck to keep themselves entertained. And then it's so rare that anything ever happens that they decided that their uniform was going to be pajamas. All we do is sit around all day. Why do we wear this stuff? I mean, let's just wear pajamas all day. And maybe once in a while we'll get into combat and Worf will give us some stuff to wear, But even then, no, we could totally like fight in pajamas. So then I got going with Permies, got this other one going, and it's kind of like this. We get these guys like every other fucking day. Oh, it just goes on and on. And then sometimes we get rid of a guy and he comes back dressed up as a nurse. No, I'm different. I'm not that guy. I'm a nurse. Look, see, nurse. Sometimes they seem like they're just artsy. And then they start kicking people in the head. All right. So the moral of the story is, on one site, we have a problem every couple of months. And that site's 5 times bigger. Then on the other site, we have a problem every other day. So why? Let's do some observation here. Let's do some permaculture observation. Why? Why is it so different? Now, somebody suggested that it's because it's engineers, and they're boring and dull, and they're like Vulcans and robots, and it's like, you haven't met very many engineers, have you? In the world of engineering, God complex runs rampant. After all, I suffer from it. So you think I'm arrogant? No. This is where it comes from. So no, there's just as many problems. So I don't think that's it. It could be like a little bit of it, but no. But all right. I've got a list of theories, and I'm going to show you some stuff, and it might be a little bit more than theories. Before Code Ranch, which was originally called Java Ranch, and before Java Ranch, I had years and years and years of experience running online communities. How many people, oh, this is just a novelty item for me. Who here years ago used a DOS terminal application called Bananacom? 1, 2, all right. So I wrote that software. So you use web browsers now. I wrote the #1 web browser from 1994, but it wasn't called a web browser, it was called a DOS terminal application. But that was used to help people communicate. I thought I was saving the world by getting people to come together and communicate. Maybe it was such a big hit, somebody decided to make the internet. I wrote a web browser, but then I heard that Billionaire Bill was going to give his away for free, so it's kind of like, now I don't have a business model, so I better find something else to do with my time. But I ran online communities for a long, long time before the internet started, and then when the internet came along, I fired up some online communities, and so I've got this experience, I've got this unique perspective with online communities. And I got to say that usually when somebody comes to an online community, they feel like they're a community manager, like they've got experience too. They've been using online communities for a day, and their response is no, the way you're doing it is all wrong. And it's like everybody who starts off managing an online forum or an online community, they kind of, oh, we're going to let everybody say whatever they want. And that lasts about 4 months. And then by the time you've done this so many years, it's like, you know what the best thing to do is everybody who's like, not okay. So I'm trying to nurture a community to have the kind, gentle souls, give the kind, gentle souls a place to be able to express their stuff without fear of somebody coming and beating the shit out of them. And then I get a lot of people telling me about what that means, and it's like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go with my interpretation of what that means. But anyway, so all online communities want to end up at these two spaces, or at one of these two spaces. 6 people in asbestos underwear flaming each other. I've seen these communities where everybody else is left. It's just too hostile. And I don't want that. I want a good, healthy exchange. So I've got my recipe, or a river of fluff. It's like no substance, all fluff. It takes work to get them to be neither of those, and it takes a lot of work. We moved my slides from one thing to another thing, and all the formatting got screwed up. So there's one that got moved. So who here has benefited from the wonderful help of Burra out at Permies? So a few hands went up. Burra is such a lovely, just a few days ago, I publicly announced that Burra is now in charge of the forums. So she's promoted, she picked her new title, she's going to be Mother Tree. But now this is a message that Burra wrote that was a brand new moderator, had come into the fold at Permies.com, and they're like, I'm going to help. I'm going to talk to this person and try and make things better. And so Burra says, just a word of warning, sometimes it works. Sometimes you unleash more crazy than you bargained for. Just prepare yourself so that if you do get a load of hate from the guy, you don't let it hurt you too much. Hate mail can be surprisingly soul-destroying. Now, keep in mind, Burra's saying this because she's had it happen before. And what's more important is that the people who brought her that soul-destroying material were permaculturalists. People advocating a romance with nature. And these are the people that are bringing a shit ton of hate to our world. This is something came up in the very early days of the forums at Permies, but it's like this is just an example. As I mentioned, this comes up about every other day. So somebody had posted their thoughts on a topic, and a regional permaculture leader said something about them being an idiot. And so I contacted that regional permaculture leader, who I'd met on several occasions before. And I want to reveal all the things that this person has accomplished in the world of permaculture, supposedly, because frankly, I think this person's accomplishments are weak, but that's just my school of thought. And his response was, how is this person going to know that they're an idiot unless they're told they're an idiot? And then how is it going to stick? How are they going to remember that unless it's done publicly? Unless they're publicly shamed, how are they? Now, the other side of it is that I thought that this regional permaculture leader was a dumb fuck. And I thought that the person that they were attempting to shame was right. I mean, they made a very good point, and they even phrased it correctly. You know, here's my position, here's what I think, and you're an idiot. And so we've gotten really good at Permies at trying to remove that kind of thing. I mean, we've got a few basic, I mean, there's only one rule. What's the one rule? Be nice. That's it. That's the whole thing that you agree to. Of course, I get to be the one that interprets what that means. And because we've had some people trying to tell me what it means. Well, I get to call them idiots. That's being nice. So, but we've got some other things to try and help be like guidelines on what that means. And so it's like, you know, never suggest that anybody on Permies is anything less than perfect. Yes, we know that they're less than perfect, but you don't have to suggest it. You can make your position without taking a baseball bat to other people. You can state your point without crushing others. And we don't allow people to say the truth. Instead, we encourage people to state their position. So there's little things, little guidelines. And we delete a lot of stuff. But, and there's a lot of people that are like, well, fuck you, then I'm out of here. You guys are a bunch of fucking censors. And it's like, we are a bunch of fucking censors. And so they're gone. They're never going to come back. But there are a lot of people that are like, well, I don't know if I agree with that, but okay, I'll change it. And they stick around. And mysteriously, somehow, through all this brutal way of managing forums, which is always, I mean, we've thousands of people that have pointed out that our way of managing forums is wrong. Mysteriously, it's become the largest permaculture site on the internet. So, here is something, how many people here have heard of corporate trolls? Okay, how many of you heard it from me? Okay, all right. So this is a very real thing. People who are paid extremely well to spend their days, and these are intelligent people, spend their day all day long, 40 hours a week, going out to different sites and posting what their employer wants them to post about, the employer's position. So, who has lots of money and wants people to think their way? It's going to be chemical agriculture. It's going to be big energy, big pharma. Ugh, yeah, raw milk, naughty raw milk. And so the numbers are staggering. I would estimate, in my professional opinion, and you know what? I'm far enough down the road that I get to have a professional opinion. And not only do I get to have a professional opinion, but it trumps everybody else's professional opinion in this room, except maybe Jack Spirko if he's here. But in my professional opinion, more than half of all the content on the internet is provided by corporate trolls. Very intelligent people, and their job is simply to say, if you go out and you say polyculture, their job is to say bullshit. And not only is it their job to say bullshit, they're going to come back with 12 different accounts, and they're going to have a conversation with themselves. Yeah, I agree, that was total bullshit. I don't know what that person was thinking. I wonder what kind of education they have. And it's like to cast doubt. And not only cast doubt, but to encourage you to go out and buy a bottle of Roundup. So I could cite all kinds of examples and how we've been able to figure it out on our end, but instead of what I'm going to do is I'm just trying, we've got such limited time. One thing is they keep extremely careful notes on each website and who are the moderators and how to fuck with them. And how to still get their message across despite what's going to be deleted. And they're working with each other. I mean, I'm sure that there's probably been hundreds of meetings about how to get our corporate message to actually appear on Permies.com. And our staff is keeping a sharp eye out for like, what do you think? Was that a corporate troll? I mean, every other day we have to have these conversations. Okay, what do you think about this one? I mean, a lot of them are pretty obvious. Spam. We had at one point, we were getting, I believe it was 30,000 spams a day on Permies. And we made a bunch of software changes to get rid of that. But that's just spam. It has nothing to do with corporate trolls. Human beings trying to convey a position. And XKCD, the last election, they pointed this out. If a politician wanted to advertise on some big website, it would be $1.5 million. But if the same politician wanted to instead hire a bunch of college students to just camp out on the site and post the positions of their elected official, their politician, then it would cost only $200,000. So hiring a bunch of corporate trolls is cheaper than advertising, much, much cheaper. And on top of that, it's much more effective. People tend to not look at the advertising. They've been trained to ignore it. But they will look at the comments that have been left. And it's having a powerful influence on people. And you would think that as permaculturists, oh, let's do this too. Yeah, you can totally do this too. Who's going to spend 40 hours a week doing this? We probably need 1,000 people to keep up with all of that. But I'm pretty sure nobody here spends that much time on the internet. And plus, I think everybody would rather grow a lovely garden than go and fight corporate trolls on the internet. Then we have organic trolls. This is just people who love to be anonymous and go around and say things just to get a reaction. I mean, I think our society has built things up in such a way, I mean, suicide rates and stuff like that. People feel very disconnected. They feel very much like they are nobody. They don't matter. But you know what? If you go up and you punch somebody in the face, suddenly you matter. So, I think that they're seeking that. They're seeking any kind of human interaction because, after all, our society kind of shames a lot of this human interaction. So, this is just organic trolls. This is just people that are just fishing for any kind of reaction. They'll say any kind of nasty thing to get a reaction. And of course, the message that's been around for decades is do not feed the trolls. And on Permies, if you see something that seems very troll-like, if you click on the report to moderator, we will usually remove it within a couple of minutes. So there's so much content, good content at Permies, that our staff is trying to get to it all, but if you click on that, it gets us there faster. Oh, look, reddit.com. Who's been there? I've been there. I still go there, even though I've been banned. I mean, it's weird. What do they ban for? Because it's not for trolls. So no, I keep talking about the same website, permies.com, and that's not okay. So anyway. But hey, look, win tickets to see all the biggest names in permaculture under one roof. So if you click on this, they must be giving it. This was a month ago. And so it's like, I wonder who won. I wonder what happens if you win. I mean, ooh, tell all your friends. Maybe you'll get to have extra people there. Wouldn't that be cool? Okay, let's see what this. All right, let's look and see what it says. I'm going to win, and then I'm going to go punch Paul Wheaton in the face. Read what it really says. I'm going to go a punch. I'm Italian. I'm going to go a punch Paul Wheaton in the face. Yeah. You can always find your keenest intellect with their grammar and spelling. So, although I sometimes go a little fast too, so I can't fault them that. Yeah, how to speak. That's kind of funny, isn't it? Yeah. I think, and of course, I think that and then of course, well, I was just saying something about wanting to punch somebody in the face. So this is, I think that there is something to be said. This is a troll. This is going to be somebody who's just trying to get a reaction. I didn't react. I mean, I didn't even read it until a month later. But just for, one thing to point out. I've seen this person post a lot to the permaculture subreddit out at Reddit. So this is a permaculture enthusiast. This is a person who loves permaculture. They love permaculture, but they want to punch me in the face. And of course, whatever it is they want to punch me in the face about, I don't think it's so much that it's like I've advocated for something that they didn't like. I think it's their own stuff. They just want to interact and that kind of thing. But you know what? Let's see more about what this person's like and go and look at their account. So I popped into their account and I kind of started looking through the other stuff that they were writing, and I saw this one. And this I think really helps to explain some things. Today I learned of Cunningham's Law. And so Cunningham, this is Ward Cunningham, the inventor of Wiki. The best way to get the right answer on the internet is not to ask a question, a direct question. It's to post the wrong answer. And so How to Speak responds, I use this on Reddit all the time. I smugly say something wrong just so I can get corrected and get the answer instead of asking for the question. Okay, so instead of asking the question. The best way to do this is being smug about it and disrespectful. Example, I want to know the source of something. Solution, yeah, that's bullshit because insert made up crap. So I think that the important thing to draw from this is, please, if somebody asks a question, if a permaculture person asks a question or goes to permies.com and asks a question, if you see a question, please answer. I mean, I do believe, I'm the same way. I get negative shit and I respond to that before I respond to the positive stuff. I don't want to make this sound like I get so many love letters, it's wonderful, but it's like I get a love letter and I almost never respond because I'm so overwhelmed. Now Adrian gets 3/4 of my mail, and Adrian was just telling me about this big conference that happened, that they asked me to come and be a part of it, and I would have been a part of it, but it got dropped because we get so much, we just can't get to it all. But it's like somebody says something wrong or nasty or totally errant, and my blood gets up. And then next thing you know, that's the thing that I'm giving my attention, errantly, foolishly, to the negative Nellies, which I shouldn't do, and I know I shouldn't do, and I'm trying to be better about it. But I guess my point is that when a quiet, sweet, humble person asks a quiet, sweet, humble question, please give that your priority. And then the other thing is that we have a rule out at permies.com. We call it the 48-hour rule. Who's heard of the 48-hour rule? Fucking A, all right. So the great thing about the 48 is, like, if you ask a question and you don't get an excellent answer within 48 hours, go to the tinkering forum and say, hi, hereby invoke the 48-hour rule. And here's a link to my thread. And usually that alone will get you a bunch of people coming and looking at it right away. But if it doesn't, if it's like time goes by and you still don't get an excellent answer, I will announce it on the dailyish email. And the people that are on my dailyish email are so awesome. That is my favorite thing. I mean, I love the dailyish email more than all the rest of the empire. Because if something like that comes up, a good, decent, sweet person is asking a question and not getting a good answer, and I point the dailyish email to it, they'll get like 15 answers like in an hour. And it's kind of like, oh man, it's great having an army. So it's so empowering to just be able to, I'm trying to do so much stuff, and all I got to do is just tell the dailyish email people about it, and boom, it's like, don't worry, Paul, got it taken care of. You get back to your other crap. And, I love that. I just so love that. All right, moving along. Oh man, this conference, I want to, you know what? Poor Diego. He asked for my suggestions on putting together this conference. I mean, he had me down he got me to come down to the event a year ago, and for an event like 7 or 8 months before that. So Diego has been awesome at organizing things, and then putting together an event like this comes with problems and hassles, and shit happens, and he calls me up and he says what to do. And it's like I try to, and the next thing you know, I'm yelling at him, and I'm like, So he's been subjected to my wrath, but he still wants me to come to the event, and he's been so awesome. And this, I don't think anybody here probably realizes how much work goes on to do this. And so I just want to, Diego! And while I'm doing it, I probably should point out, I want to thank my local community where Seth and Chad helped me put this presentation together collaboratively just 2 days ago at our little community house. For those of you not at the community house, my message is neener, neener. And of course, the person that has to suffer with me the most, Jocelyn Campbell. who works as hard as I do, if not harder. I'll go to bed and she's still working. So, but I think for all time, think of who is your favorite hero, and I guarantee you, whoever that is has detractors. And I made a podcast with Jeff Lawton a couple of years ago, and Jeff Lawton, I'm not sure if any of you know this, he's a Muslim, and he said in my podcast, Jesus Christ had detractors, they killed him. I thought that was especially profound coming from a Muslim. But Abraham Lincoln, boy, that John Wilkes Booth guy did not like Abraham Lincoln. And then, of course, pick them all, Mother Teresa. Gandhi had millions of detractors. Well, that guy's such a dumb fuck. He's just starving himself for stupid reasons. That's a cheap political ploy. How about the people that hate the people that burn themselves in protest of things? I'm going to set myself on fire. That'd be kind of funny if politicians were so against things that they would set themselves on fire. I think I'd pay attention. I think I'd pay attention to a statement like that. Whoa, that was profound. That's a powerful statement. And we've got those in permaculture as well. I delete that shit. You aren't aware of it because I delete it. You've got no idea what a festering shithole of hate there is in the permaculture community. No clue. It's the amount of stuff that I know is coming from permaculture people. Like, I've met these people. I know them. And they're volatile, hostile, vitriol, goes on and on and on. And some of them have gotten to be so bad, so awful, that I've banned them from Permies. We just can't put that much work into deleting their shit. And then, of course, they hate our guts, which actually turns out to work out fine. The problem is the solution. And if you want, you can go check out at PRI. They all tend to go over there. And now I talk to Craig McIntosh. We exchange emails about once a month about, this is happening and that's happening and this other thing is going on. And we've got a great relationship with PRI. And I got an email from Craig McIntosh not long ago, and he was saying, yeah, we're starting to delete more now. We're kind of getting tired of it. And because they had a more open policy, like, you've got to do something really extreme before they'll delete it. And I think now they're changing their policies. Hey, look at this. You know these guys? Yeah, one of these people's not like the other. Hundreds of people have refused to come to this conference because of the obvious sexism. And their response was extremely hostile. So Diego's gotten calls. As I go out and I try to promote the conference, then I got all kinds of hate because of this blatant, obvious, clear sexism. Now, we had the same thing with the cards. One of these people is not like the other. So we've got 9 guys and 1 gal. And it's like, when this is getting pointed out to me, and then I am obviously being accused of sexism, I mean, I feel like as much as I try to not push social justice and stuff like that on Permies, I just kind of feel like I want to push more of like, let's build good things. And social justice is extremely important. But I kind of feel like I did my time there, and I want to talk about other things, because when you start bringing up the social justice stuff, that just turns out to be, I mean, I can get involved in it, and then that consumes all of my life. And I kind of need to just like not look over there and focus on building good things, because I've been there, I've done that. And so for me, I'm kind of thinking, no, create other forums and go talk about it over there. It's just here, I've got my own mission, and this is about my mission. And so I wanted to just have a small little forum to talk about the things I want to talk about the way I want to talk about them, and it just kind of got really big. And so I think there's other people that feel like I feel, and it's like, no, we don't want to talk about that stuff. So make other forms and do other stuff. But it is important. Social justice, so important. So I have to ask the question, am I a sexist. I feel very passionately about not being sexist. In fact, I'm so passionate about it that there have been permaculture events that will exclude people based on what gender they were born with. And these are typically women's only events. Women's only, and it's like, and I have people coming to me saying, dude, they posted this on your Permies. Are you okay with that? And it's like, you know what? I'm really not okay with it, but at the same time, I'm going to allow it. And so when I get these women's only events, it's kind of like, okay, that's clearly sexist, and I know we shouldn't do that, but it's a different school of thought. I'm going to just not look because I'll get angry. But I feel passionately that I'm not a sexist. So step one, I believe I'm not, but you know what? I'm open to this. Let's check. Let me check. And the other thing is, these are some serious accusations. I don't think this is an accusation you should callously throw out. Nobody should go to Permaculture Voices because they're a bunch of fucking sexists. That's a serious accusation. I don't think anybody should make that. Oh, really? I'm going that. Okay, I'll go faster. All right. And this isn't just some putz or some anonymous account. These are the leaders in the permaculture community, typically regional leaders, but there was at least one that I know of that's a global leader and will not come to this event, and because of this obvious sexism. Now, the numbers are clearly skewed, and that bothers me. I'm looking at those numbers and I'm thinking like, well, the proof is right there. How did we end up with this obvious imbalance? So I've got to do my self-exploration. So I need an impartial metric. So I turned to Google Trends. And so this is the number of people that are searched for. And Google kind of has these vague numbery things at Google Trends about this. So I fed in some of the names. And of course, Michael Pollan kind of eclipses everybody. But then, okay, so I've got Elaine in there, and then there's Joel Salatin, who's big. Now I'm going to take out Michael Pollan so we can kind of see everybody else. So Elaine's very low, but we've got Jeff Lawton is the green one, but you can kind of get some numbers in there. I added in the rest of the speakers, and Elaine's still in there. I think Elaine's now blue, and you can see that the lowest in there right now is Toby. Everybody should search for Toby Hemingway more often. Toby's awesome. He's like our sweet man. So if you don't like my stuff, go to the anti-Paul. That would be Toby Hemingway. He is so sweet. And it's like, look at that. That's not right. People are hardly searching for him at all. Search for Toby Hemingway. Bring him up on this chart. So it's like, okay, we were doing the cards. We hadn't printed them yet. And we were thinking like, okay, here's what we'll do is maybe we'll add more queens in. So who should we add? So we had a series of polls. And I had some criteria. In order for this test about whether or not I'm a sexist, I needed whoever was coming from the polls to be alive, because it's so awkward having dead people be your presenter. They're dull. So, and at the same time, because of my own personal passions, and like when I was advising Diego in my loud, angry voice about who to have as keynote speakers, then it was like greening the deserts people, the people who have like gone out and done something magnificent in the world of seed and soil. And that was a big part of who I was recommending. The political or social justice stuff is like, well, that's not my thing. But maybe it's Diego's thing, and I guess it wasn't Diego's thing. But when I'm doing this test, I'm thinking like, okay, based on the values of what I find to be fascinating and stuff like that. So here are the winners. Maddie Harland, who is magnificent. She is the editor of Permaculture magazine, the magazine that's in your bags. And she's also the publisher of several of the most awesome permaculture books out on the market right now. Erica Wisner, and this might be because of her association with Permies, but we've done a lot of work with her with rocket mass heaters. In fact, I named her Rocket Mass Heater Innovator of the Year for her work in the castable, shippable core. And Carol Depp, the Resilient Gardener. She's got a great book out there. So here's the three winners, but let's go back to the test. So we've got Elaine, we've got Toby, And we've got our 3 winners from this contest. And Carol Depp shows up a little bit. But all 3 of them on Google Trends showed up lower. I think the conclusion that I've satisfied myself. I am not a sexist. So that's phase 1. Yeah, thank you. 1 person applaud. I'm not a sexist. Damn right. So those accusations were false. Those accusations were false. They were hurtful, and they split and splintered our permaculture community. That was wrong. Using all of my authority for the permaculture world, for just being large and arrogant, I suppose, I am the what? Duke! I'm the Duke. So also been called the bad boy of permaculture. But let's say the Duke thing has some weight, or just being the largest voice in permaculture. I mean, not only because of this, but I do have the biggest empire. And so I think I have the most influence in the world of permaculture. Do I not? Does anybody disagree with that? Do I? Really? Seriously? I mean, as arrogant and as obnoxious as I am, and I think that's where a lot of people have problems with, how the fuck did this guy get to be it? So, but I think that was a horrible, horrible thing to say and do. All right, so next I'm like, okay, well, where are the women? Where? There's one. Okay, yeah. Woo! 60% of the people attending PDCs are women. I mean, this is kind of a universal thing. I checked the staff at Permies.com. We have almost exactly a 50-50 mix of active staff, male and female. So it's kind of like, all right, so where's the women leaders? Where's the woman that went and scored 2 million acres in the Sahara and made a jungle out of desert? Where is she? And that bothered me. Now, I want to say that the next thing that I did, I want to take it back. But I'm going to go down this path. I'm going to confess. So I'm on the road. I'm presenting. And I'm at a dinner with 8 people, including 2 female regional leaders. And they made it clear at this dinner that they're not going to attend Permaculture Voices because it's obviously sexist. All right. So why don't one of you do the stuff that makes for a great permaculture leader? You're women, and you're like offended here. And I told them about my research and finding out that it's not sexist. And it's like, I see the amount of time you put in, meaning me. I would rather have a life and read a book once in a while. Now, I admit, I am trying to work less than 100 hours a week. But I am obsessively passionate. In fact, you know what? Earlier I said I'm bonkers about permaculture. I want to re-qualify that a little bit. I'm obsessed with infecting brains with permaculture. And in fact, that needs further qualification. I'm fucking obsessed. I get up in the morning and immediately the first thought in my head is how to infect more brains. And I work for probably an hour before breakfast, then we eat, and the next thing you know, there's dinner, and then it's like after dinner I can still do about 2 hours before I'm stupefied and I can't do any more. And Tony and Emily probably are I see Tony, I don't see, and there's Emily. Am I making this shit up? Nope. So Jocelyn would probably just support me no matter what. She's awesome that way. But Tony and Emily don't. They're objective-ish. So I am freaky obsessed about it. So it's like, it's a lot of work. I mean, Willie Smits, do you like take weeks off and go on vacation and go gambling and skiing and of course you live in tropical paradise, maybe, but it's like, it's when you're obsessed, you get a lot of stuff done, and some people are obsessed with who's going to win the big game, and that's their obsession, and it's like, I'm wired a different way. Who's going to win the big game? It's going to be me. Here was my response to those women. Step the fuck up! Rather than bashing people, why don't you do something good? And if you don't want to do something good, then shut the fuck up. Stop ruining it for the rest of us. But as I said earlier, I regretted that, and I want to take it back. Here's the third part. This is hard. So this woman comes to Permies, and she posts, and she shares. She shares a lot. She is a strong, independent woman. She could have been a great leader. She could have been the next keynote, maybe in 5, 6 years. She got a lot of shit for sharing. And it's like corporate trolls. It looks like corporate trolls to me. And they still come to Permies, and we still delete their shit. But some days we don't delete it fast enough. And this is with our old software. We got new software. Because of this, we got new software, and we're more on top of it than ever before. So she posted this image, along with the rocket mass heater that she built for a yurt. And this has got some cool stuff to it. One thing is that it's not a barrel. This is a fabricated piece of metal, welded metal, a whole different aesthetic. And then as an experiment, she wrapped copper pipe around it and got hot water. And without pressure and making sure that there's enough angle on the pipe, then it's safe. It's perfectly safe. What a great example of how to heat water safely. Because hot water is something that can be very, very dangerous. And on top of that, she's got it set up so that the fire is actually outside the building. And then it comes up inside, and then all the exhaust goes outside. So the response was, what if there's a baby sleeping on the floor and gets carbon monoxide poisoning? You're a baby killer. That is literally what it said. So this woman contacted me, and she said, that's it. That's the straw that breaks the camel's back. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. She's never posted out to Permies again. She's never shared anything ever again. You want to know where the women are? They're being poisoned. All of the gentle, sweet souls are slowly, one by one, being picked off. A lot of people come to permaculture and they're so excited. They have found heaven. And then our permaculture leaders, or it's going to be corporate trolls, just icky people, dumb fucks, whatever it is, are driving them away. They had, their expression is, I had no idea I was getting into something so hostile. I made a podcast. I've made 270-some podcasts now. And I never thought I'd be a podcast person. Jocelyn did it. And so it's like, so now we got these podcasts. I made this one podcast, and it's like I have a hard time making a podcast unless somebody else is there. I can't do like Jack does. I can't just turn on a microphone and talk into it. But once in a while I do it because I just got something to say. So I'm in my car, and I've got this long road trip to do, and so I turn it on, and I just blah, 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 blah. And so this is podcast 111. And then it went up, and then somebody sent me a check for $100. And it's like, and the podcasts run in the red. I mean, it costs me money to do this, and they are the biggest pain in the ass ever. And that's a whole nother, I could bitch for 4 hours about how the podcasts are such a pain in the ass. But $100, what's this $100? I mean, nobody has sent me money for the podcast before. He sent me $100. And he said, it was just that good. It was just, and it's like, it was just what I needed to hear. And so it's like, all right, so I'm going to give you a little taste of podcast 111. And so I presented 2 different basic ideas. Why, and it's all about podcast 1. Why is it that some of our permaculture greats are such dicks? So they get a reputation for being extremely harsh people. And Dave Bainline and I once got in an argument about this back when we were housemates. Dave probably doesn't want anybody to know that we used to be housemates. We used to be housemates. And so I was thinking that it's like Sepp Holzer can be a dick. I mean, he's been through so much that, as far as I'm concerned, he has license. And it's like, and he doesn't have to be a great. And Dave was like, he should try to be a great teacher and convey this to more people. And it's like, I'm giving him license to be. And so we went back and forth on that for hours. But all right, let's just start off here. A permaculture innovator creates a new thing, and somebody comes along and says, that's stupid. And of course, other than that's stupid, they could say that's impossible, that's ridiculous, you're a dumb fuck, all sorts of nasty, hateful shit. And in the permaculture world, there's more than our share. I mean, that was the thing I was trying to prove with the whole thing with Code Ranch to permaculture, is for some reason in the world of permaculture, not only do we have a bunch of external people that are trying to impede us, but our own internal people are trying to impede us as well. So there's a lot of this. That's stupid. And I think in my podcast I used Eonto Evans. He has accomplished such amazing innovation and really moved us forward with his powerful, powerful intellect. And every time I've met him, he's been a very soft-spoken man. However, once in a while, he does say something that's less than kind. And frankly, I give him license for that. And, but after 100 times of hearing that's stupid, and the first time you hear it, first time, that's stupid, I can see Eonto Evans lovingly, patiently explaining what he's invented and how it works and sharing. And I've checked with a variety of sources and that have been there when this has all happened, and they've said that this is true. And after 100 people, you're still lovingly, openly, generously sharing, patiently, and only you've optimized your message a little bit so it's going a little bit faster now. And then after 1,000 people have said that's stupid, maybe you'll make a website. And maybe you'll start writing a book that you're onto something. And then when you start telling people this, you start to kind of get the message so clear, and so you've optimized it so much, you can convince somebody that it's not stupid in like maybe 2 minutes, as opposed before it was 2 hours. After 10,000 people have said, that's stupid. All right, now you're starting to get a little impatient. That's disrespectful, really. You know, and aren't we supposed to be about that which is respectful, respecting the earth, respecting people? You know, and at 20,000 times when somebody says that's stupid, then I think that the response is, well, fuck off then, don't look at it. It's not for you because you're stupid. It's for good and decent people, not fuckheads like you. So that's one theory on how we get people that are less than charming in the world of permaculture. We made them that way. That's a theory. Theory 2. You start with 1,000 permaculture innovators and each create some new thing. And after hearing that stupid 100 times, 900 decide that permaculture is more of a private thing. I'm just going to not share this. I just don't need that bullshit. I just don't need the hate. I don't need the hostility. I'm going to go do my own thing. And then after 1,000, only one innovator is left. So then outside of the other keynote speakers, who are all very lovely, and the other speakers here, and you know, all, so here's an example, but this is what you end up with. You don't get to have lovely, sweet people. And so this is what I'm really trying to advocate, is it's like, we need to support this. When we're talking about where are the women, gentle souls are focusing on a more private bond with nature. They've elected to not share. You have to be durable to get up to this stage. I mean, and you don't just have to be durable, you have to be seriously fucking durable to get up onto this stage. You have to have endured some heavy shit. Willie Smith, if you endured some serious shit, damn right. And if I could see any of the other keynotes, I would ask them the same question. You have no idea how bad it is. I'm not kidding. It is so ugly. I want to thank Oliver up at Base Camp, who put together some of these slides too, and this is one of his. And so I think that there are some truly beautiful things to say, and now it's gotten to the point where we've been through this so many times. I want to share my unique perspective on the world of permaculture. When I hear this phrase, I kind of think to myself, oh, here comes the hate. Here it comes. It's going to be the next post or the next line in the same post. Like, you should love everybody unconditionally. And if you don't, I will fuck up your shit. Which doesn't seem like a very loving thing to say. Okay, for the longest time, I thought namaste meant I'll fuck up your shit tomorrow. I actually looked it up for this presentation. It means I bow to the divine in you. I think people saying namaste don't know that, so I put it on the slide. I bow to the divine in you. Vegans, I have to say, I think being a vegan is a very noble choice, and I very much respect the choice. And I think the problem with the vegans doesn't come from a person choosing to be a vegan. The problem comes from when they think that everybody else needs to be a vegan too. And they'll go so far as to say, if you kill little fuzzy animals, I will kill you. And it's like, but I have a face. We've got a recent podcast where it was Joel Salatin in a debate about veganism, and it's like, okay, so if anybody wants to cite any more research on veganism, then I'm sorry, but for me now, forevermore, the definition of veganism is Oreos and Diet Coke, while what I eat is going to be all permaculture food, and 20% of it is meat. And so that's going to be where if you don't have a scientific report on that, I don't want to talk to you. It's like, I don't want to hear any more, because that's what they do. It's like, we fed people nutritious vegan food, and we fed them toxic shitstorm. And guess what? People with the toxic shitstorm got sick. Hey, that doesn't sound like a fair comparison. The third ethic is usually used to justify unethical behavior. And so I kind of feel like people who actually have ethics end up not talking about ethics. Now, Toby Hemingway's got an approach to this that I am still trying to understand, but because Toby Hemingway is awesome and sweet and kind, I feel like I must be wrong, and I just have more to learn. Money. Anytime somebody says anything about permaculture is all about poverty, that's the person that charges for everything that they do, especially the permaculture leaders. Every permaculture leader that I've heard of that said you shouldn't ask for money, I happen to know for a fact that that person won't help anybody unless they're getting paid and paid well. It's kind of a twisted thing, and I think what they're doing is they're trying to say, yeah, permaculture, you should never look for money. It's because they're looking for volunteers. You know, hey, come and do permaculture over here for me for nothing, but I'll get all the money. I mean, don't get me wrong. So the money thing is now a trigger for me whenever somebody says something about, oh, don't make money. Science. You know, I think a lot of people, even in the scientific community, I mean, critical thinking is an important part of science. And so they bash the shit out of each other over science all the time. And so then they bring it out into Permies, and it's like, no, you're wrong because I said science first. And it's like, okay, this is anecdotal evidence, which is part of science. Trial and error is part of science. Creative thought is part of science. And so it's like, so we've gotten to the point now where we're not big fans. So somebody brings up science, it's like, yeah, okay, here it comes. We're gonna be deleting some stuff here, I bet. All right. I used to call myself full farm ecosystem, or systems feed systems feed systems. And there's this thing where if I go to a farmer and I'm telling them how they can make more money using permaculture, they're like, or I tell them how to make more money, like we could do this, less irrigation, less fertilizer, and he's like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can see it. I can see how I'm going to make more money and stuff like that. What do you call this stuff? Oh, I call it permaculture. Get the fuck off my farm! I'm not going to make any more money blowing rainbows out my ass. So this is where we get to the part where different people are choosing different names. I think I got another slide about this. But I like what Larry Santoyo says about purple breathers. And somebody at Permies made this chart, and they gave them each different colors. Like, here's the peak oil people. They're black. And then here's the purple breathers who are like, let's all hold hands and sing songs. And I want to make it clear, I think the holding hands and singing songs at a permaculture event is totally fine. And let's have an event where we don't, where it's a more professional, technical event, and people don't hold hands and sing songs. That's just because there's some people that are like that too. I think that that's the real reason why people don't want to come to Voices. And then the thing about the sexism is a cheap excuse. They know that we're not going to be holding hands and singing songs, and it's abhorrent to them that you would do permaculture without that. And so I want to endorse them doing that. I just want to be able to do this also. We have new words coming out. The transition movement, did you know that that was just a way to be able to get permaculture into people's brains? But you have to use a different word, because if you use the word permaculture, it's not going to go anywhere. So we're splintering. We're losing our mass, and I need that mass. We've got all these different names. Sepp Holzer was Holzer Permaculture. He's now moving to Holzer Agroecology. He's sick of the shit that comes with permaculture. So there's a lot of these people. Darren Doherty has got 2 different things that he's done, and he's just like, I've got to move away from that. That's just, I got some serious work to do, and that's just holding me back. Willie Smith, do you have any problem with this space with the word permaculture? No, permaculture is good. See, now Jeff Lawton says that over in Australia, permaculture is a respected word. It means, you know, a scientific horticultural endeavor. I mean, people respect it. It's on television. Yes, and they're going to do permaculture here. Ooh, really? I heard that's very good. And then over here, and this is a United States thing. So here in the United States, it's like, it means something about stoned hippies in the basement pontificating about the way things ought to be. Oh, Michael Becker. Here's a guy, he did, got for 5 years, he got the whole school set up there and did this massive permaculture system, but he made sure to never utter the word permaculture until after it was established. I wonder why. All right, now let's try, I've got 5 minutes left. I'm going to try and squeeze in what to do. I've been using this phrase, permaculture artisans. In the art world, there are people that are going to be sculptors and painters, and they still say, a sculptor will point to a painter and say, that's not art. And a painter will point to a sculptor and say, that's not art. They're all pointing to each other and saying, that's not. And we're kind of doing that, and we got to stop it. What we got to do is say, we're different artisans. Also, another thing is to say, there's many schools of thought. I mean, I say this probably 100 times a day now. There are many schools of thought under the permaculture umbrella. So many of our permaculture leadership believe that if you're going to deviate from the way they do permaculture, it's not permaculture, and that's wrong. I, as the Duke of Permaculture, proclaim that is wrong. There are many schools of thought, and you are allowed to deviate from the people that you admire. You are allowed to create your own art, your own symphony in seed and soil. You can have a romantic relationship with nature that's different from everybody else's romantic relationship with nature. I hereby give you license. Some regional permaculture leaders strictly believe that it is not permaculture unless you pray the way that they pray. Typically, this is pray to the earth. If you won't come and join them and pray to the earth, it's not permaculture. Unless you vote the way that they vote or live the way that they live. I want you to publicly support physical achievement. So now, a lot of you are kind, sweet, gentle souls, unlike this person standing on this stage. And when you see something online, and there seems to be one person saying, look, I made a hugelkultur bed, and then somebody else saying, that's bullshit, I wish for you to support the person that actually did something. I want you to make... Somebody says, hey everybody, check out Jeff Lawton's new video. And somebody says, Jeff Lawton's a dick. I want you to support the person that's trying to support Jeff Lawton, somebody that created something. I don't think you have to agree with everything, but I do think it's saying, I appreciate you sharing this. I mean, it takes 20 kind words to offset one nasty word. And don't forget, we've got thousands of people that are working against us, and they're being paid to work against us. So a kind word, many kind words, does so much to help the kind, gentle souls that are trying to do good. Please support good, decent people. And I know sometimes there can be an argument, and it's hard to tell who's right and who's wrong. You please take a moment and use your judgment. I want you to say this with me. Many schools of thought under the permaculture umbrella. thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This will be the lubricant, I think, to help to have less friction within the permaculture community itself. Let's remember that critical thinking is the foundation of science. And so when people come and they say bullshit, that is part of science, to say bullshit. But it doesn't really help. I think it's bring more critical thinking. You can have critical thinking about the critical thinking. You don't have to say bullshit. I think it's great to state your position instead of trying to crush others and say, oh, I think this guy might have something valid worth saying. I'd like to hear more. That's a good one. I'd like to hear more. Whether it's bullshit or not, I'd like to hear more. Did you know that when you use the word I think, it makes everything coming after that utterly true? I think the sky is green. And if somebody says that's bullshit, no, it's true. I really think that. Therefore, you're a fucking liar. You can't tell me what I'm thinking. So I think is a very powerful word. And then there's like apparently these schools of communication that say, oh, you keep saying I, me. And it's like, fuck you. Remember on Permies, we now have that report to moderator stuff. Once in a while, have the courage to stand up for what is good and right and decent. And I want to say that while I'm trying to be less angry, being angry is healthy. There's a lot of seriously fucked up shit in the world, and anger is the appropriate response. And when I'm not being angry, then it's like I'm trying to work a bigger strategy. And at the same time, once in a while, some people will not respond to anything unless it comes packaged in anger. It's like, well, you must not really care about it because you're not angry. Oh, I can do that dance. I can totally do that dance. Here, I'll bring you some. I wanted to tell you the story of the free pond, but that's a story about how anger got somebody a free pond. But I want to close with Larry Santoyo's do epic shit. Just be bold, have the courage, do epic shit. I want you to be the permaculture voices. I want you to be strong. I want you to be frequent. I want you to get out there and say it over and over and over again. Stand up for what's good and right and decent. And finally, build a better world through learning good things rather than being angry at bad guys. Thank you.